This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER adventure Tom and Jerry, the two musketeers in Touché Pussycat. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1, Picture 1. Once upon a time there was a king and queen of Mouseland. They lived in Mouse Castle, which was built of strong stone walls to keep cats out, and had a wide, deep moat filled with water, which cats hate. When they wanted to go out, their servants would let down the drawbridge, and they would walk safely over the moat to visit their friends or see the villagers nearby. They had a daughter, a dear little mouse princess, who had two especially brave soldiers to take care of her, Jerry and Tuffy, the two musketeers. One day the little princess was coming back from a walk with her two musketeers when they found a great big puddle right in front of the drawbridge. "Oh dear, I shall get my lovely new shoes wet," sighed the princess. Jerry gallantly swept off his cloak and laid it on the ground for her to walk on. "Thank you," squeaked the tiny princess. "Now I am safe and dry on the drawbridge of my castle." But before she could run inside to her loving parents, Picture 2, there suddenly appeared the great rough cavalier cat Tom, who had been terrorizing the whole countryside. "Ho, ho, what have we here?" he roared. The poor little princess quivered in terror. But the tiny musketeer Jerry spoke up bravely. "Do not fear, you are safe from harm, while I am here to defend you, princess." Picture 3. As Cavalier Cat blinked with amazement at the pert little voice, the little princess seized the opportunity to run inside the castle. Furious at her escape, Tom drew his sword. "En garde!" cried the brave musketeer, and they started to fight. Picture 4. To and fro the battle went until, with a cunning leap, the musketeer jumped onto Cavalier Cat's arm and, pointing his sword at the enemy's face, cried gleefully, "Now, Monsieur Cat, we are on even terms, are we not?" Picture 5. But his advantage was short-lived, for the great enemy shook him off roughly. He tried to run the poor musketeer through with his long sword, but only succeeded in impaling Jerry's fine plumed hat. The situation looked desperate, but help was coming. The musketeer's comrade, Tuffy, had leaped onto a rope hanging from the drawbridge and was even now swinging down towards Cavalier Cat with his sharp little dagger foremost, pointed straight at the cat's head. Picture 6. Cavalier Cat, thinking he had Jerry at his mercy, was just about to kill him when the force of Tuffy's attack threw him off the drawbridge. "Suffering cats! I've been stabbed!" he cried as he lost his foothold and saw the moat, wet and waiting, below. Picture 7. Just as the cat's clock was disappearing over the edge of the drawbridge, Jerry stuck his sword into it, so that the great rough cat was left hanging over the edge of the drawbridge, dangling high above the water. The brave musketeers had triumphed. They called to the little princess that all was now safe. She came gaily out of her castle, and the three little mice walked along heavily, singing the musketeer's special song, "All for one and one for all," to tell all the countryside that the terrible Cavalier Cat had been beaten and there was no more need for fear. Droopy in Funny Bullets, VIEW-MASTER Reel 2. Picture 1. Droopy was a brave, nifty little dog who lived way out on the edge of the desert in the Wild West. At that time there was a bold, bad outlaw frightening all the people of the region. The marshal had posted up a picture of him with the promise of a big reward for his capture. Now Droopy had a very bad habit of drawing on walls and on other people's pictures. When he saw this fine picture of the outlaw, he thought it would look so much better if he added a pair of fine moustaches to it. No sooner had he thought this than he began to draw them in nice and black. Stepping back to admire his handiwork, he heard a noise behind him. Picture 2. It was the outlaw, who also had a very bad habit. He loved shooting artists, and especially artists who drew on other people's pictures. When he saw what Droopy had been drawing on his portrait, he became furious. Wiping out his pistol, he began shooting. Bang! Bang! Picture 3. Away ran Droopy, and so would you if you knew the angry outlaw's bullets were after you. He ran very fast, but the bullets kept following him. Over the sand dunes he went and around cactus plants, but the bullets went up over the dunes after him and followed him around all the cactus plants. He began to get very tired. Picture 4. Then, as he ran on and on, he had an idea. Suppose he turned around and let the bullets go past him. He could see the outlaw, and he didn't want him to shoot any more bullets at him. He made a sharp turn. Picture 5. And before the bullets could turn too, he ducked, and the bullets went over his head. Zoom! Straight at, yes, you've guessed it, at the outlaw, who had been laughing to see poor Droopy running so fast with the bullets chasing him. Picture 6. Now it was Droopy's turn to laugh, for those pesky bullets just had to go on chasing someone. Droopy had escaped from them, but now they saw the outlaw ahead, and after him they went. The outlaw tried to run faster, tried to dodge around cactus plants and over sand dunes, but the bullets kept right on after him until he found that he had run all the way back to the downtown again. In a last desperate effort to be safe, he dashed inside an open door. Inside, he saw the dreadful word jail printed above the door. Picture 7. The wicked outlaw had been caught, and you can see him at the back of the picture trying to rattle the bars of his cage. But it's no good. They will keep him safe from troubling the town for a long time. And there, in front, is Droopy being congratulated by the great big marshal. Well done, he says, slapping Droopy on the back. We need more dogs like you, Deputy Droopy. And he hands him the fine shiny star to pin on his coat to show that he, Droopy, is a deputy and can help to catch any more wicked outlaws there may be around. Spyke and Dyke in Man Catchers. VIEW-MASTER Reel 3. Picture 1. There was once a small town that had more dogs than people. Most of the dogs had homes of their own, but some just roamed about the town and ate what found they could steal from the shops or from garbage cans and slept out in the streets all night. The people of the town did not like this. They bought a dog catcher's wagon with shiny red bars and a big label on it, dog catcher. Then they appointed a man in a fine blue uniform to drive round their town and catch all the stray dogs and put them in one safe place called a dog pound. The dogs all hated this, for they liked being free to go where they wanted, and besides, sometimes the dog catcher made a mistake and took dogs who had homes. One bright morning, the dog catcher was driving a cage load of dogs to the dog pound. Little Dyke saw he had made another mistake. He had caught his father Spyke. "Hey you!" he yiped. "Don't dognap my pup!" He had heard of kidnapping, so obviously taking dogs was dognapping. Picture 2. The dog catcher, of course, took no notice of the little pup and drove merrily on. But did that stop little Dyke? Not on your life. He found an old piece of wood with a large rusty nail sticking out of it, just waiting to make a puncture in some tire, and ran after the dognapper as fast as he could. "This nail will stop that mean old dognapper," he barked. Picture 3. Little Dyke placed a piece of wood in the path of the wagon. The tire went over the nail, and puff! All the air came out. The dognapper had to stop, get out of his bump, and blow up the tire again. While he was busy fixing the tire, little Dyke jumped up, opened the cage door, and all the dogs poured out. Picture 4. "Yippee, yippee, woof, woof," barked all the dogs as they leaped to freedom. They ran around and around with happiness, but the dognapper, who had just finished mending the tire, heard them. He ran to catch them, brandishing his net, while the dogs raced around him with happy barks. Picture 5. Spyke, little Dyke's father, ran towards the truck, barking, "Catch me if you can! Catch me if you can!" to the dognapper, who was panting after him. Little Dyke ran on ahead of his speedy father. Picture 6. As they got to the dog cage, the dognapper leaped forward to catch Spyke and put him back in the cage. "Got you now," he cried gleefully. Picture 7. But Spyke was too clever for him. As the dognapper rushed forward to catch him, Spyke jumped up onto the branch of a tree, which was just over their heads, and the dognapper fell into the cage. Little Dyke quickly slammed the cage door shut, and there was the dognapper, caught in his own cage. Little Dyke picked up the dognapper's fine blue cap and put it on as he got into the driver's seat. And he drove the fine dog wagon with the shiny red bars, and big Spyke sitting beside him, leaning out of the window, waving the dog catcher's net. They went all around the town, with the dog catcher in the cage that had been relabeled man catcher, with all the dogs laughing and barking behind them.